And that kind of brings me to our next quarterback a little bit. And this is a guy that I actually think needs to take his licks, so to say. And that's Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch Justin Fields, I think he's a guy that he's a game time player. He doesn't like to practice. Well, I don't say he doesn't like to practice, but he's not going to necessarily give you what he really can do in practice. And when it comes to games, I think he's going to go all out. Who was the quarterback for the Bears when it was Mike Ditka?
I know
was
what
like
you're talking about.
the bad boys. I forget, but he was a guy. He had
McMahon, Jim McMahon.
Yeah, Jim McMahon. I know it's a former Bear quarterback, but that's kind of how I view Justin Fields. And obviously, Jim McMahon was a little bit had a screw loose and some other things, but I think Justin Fields plays with a lot of emotion, and I feel like just getting him some time to get on the field and learn how to control that emotion would be good for him. And so I think Justin Fields should play probably in the second half of the season, let him get a little bit more experience under his belt, just practice and things. But I think come the second half of the season, Justin Fields should be playing because I think he is just a different type of player where he just needs to get out and actually play.
Yeah.
And you just need to let him loose. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if you feel the same way about that. I know that's probably a slightly unpopular opinion. But
well, I don't know. I don't know about the practice thing that you said. I haven't heard any reports about that with the practice.
Well, when I said that, I didn't mean that he doesn't like to practice. I just think he's not going to be what he's going to be in a game because he's just more of a game time player.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, I didn't mean that in in a bad way.
Well, so the one thing, unlike with Trey Lance, there's plenty of film on Justin Fields, and so I think that's kind of why his stock started to drop a little bit because we all saw what he can do on a really good team and when he's playing well. And in the 2019 season when they lost to Clemson in that thriller semifinal game. But then we also kind of then saw some of his issues in 2020, and one of the major things was just his accuracy. So that's going to be one of the biggest things that he's going to need to work on and develop. And so it does go both ways. You don't want to just shatter a guy's confidence because you don't know how he's going to react when he has those games where he throws 4 picks just because it's just rookie mistakes. But you do also need to give him those opportunities to learn from those mistakes as well. And some of the reports that I saw is he's in the Bears. He's going to get a lot of preseason playing time. I would not be surprised. There's 3 preseason games. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays 12 quarters. Not 12 quarters. 9 quarters. If Andy Dalton plays the first quarter of all 3 games, and then Justin Fields takes over the rest. Maybe they'll find a third string quarterback and test out some of those guys in the fourth quarter or something. But I've heard Justin Fields is going to get a lot of reps. He's going to get a lot of practice, and it's going to be good for him to get a lot of game film because obviously the talent is there. I think his floor is higher than Trey Lance. I think he can be a successful quarterback in the league. If the average Justin Field comes down, I think he can be a successful quarterback. But the ceiling is, I could absolutely see him taking over the Bears franchise because he has that dual threat capability where he can be on the run and sling it 50 yards. Similar to Patrick Mahomes. But then he also can run the ball and be very effective running the ball. And similar to what we said about all these quarterbacks can run. It's gonna be a transition for him because he's not going to be the fastest guy on the field. He's not going to be the biggest guy on the field because, contrary to belief, Justin Fields I think is about the same size as Cam Newton. Like he's 6'3".
He's a little small. He's 6'3", like 230.
Okay, he's only
a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little. Well, Cam Newton's 6'5", 250. Like it's a little bit.
That's
different.
fair. Okay, that's a little bit different then. But But that's still pretty big size. But there's linebackers that are Cam Newton size in the NFL.
Well, Darius Leonard is a small linebacker and he's 6'2", 225.
Yeah,
that's a small linebacker. So.
Yeah, Yeah. So learning to not take the licks, because it's one of the things we all saw with RG3, and heck,
Mm-hmm.
even with Michael Vick. You go back to Michael Vick when he was running too much, and they both tried to become pocket passers, and they couldn't transition the accuracy part. They both could sling the ball, and that's going to be something
Mm-hmm.
that's really important for him. Is you really need to focus on the accuracy, because obviously he can sling it, but you're not going to be throwing 50-yard bombs every single time like how he did against Clemson.
No, yeah,
It's
yeah.
going to be those 5-yard slant routes, those 7-yard out routes, on 3rd and 6, trying to get that first down.
Mm-hmm.
Those are going to be the plays that he needs to be able to consistently make. And we have seen him be able to do that, but we've also seen him have days when it's just not working for him.
Yeah, and especially with the rookie quarterback, I feel like we are going to see that. Just with all 5 of these guys from the first round, that they're just going to have days. It's like they're just going to struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
that's just usual growing pains. It's just the way it is.
and it was like that with Peyton Manning. He set the interception record for a rookie QB, and then when Matt Stafford got drafted, he said, "I hope he breaks the interception record for rookie QBs," and I think he did actually. But it's like when
Oh
when you
no.
when these guys get drafted, they're drafted as like, we want you to be the face of the franchise, we want you to lead you to a Super Bowl. And Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson are in a little different spot, just because their organizations
Mm-hmm.
are in full rebuild mode. So they
Mm-hmm.
kind of have that time with no pressure at all, so to say. But with Trey Lance and Justin Fields, it's kind of interesting because they're 2 veteran quarterbacks who know that their jobs are on the line. Even though Andy Dalton might know he's a stopgap kind of guy. But still, though, if
Yeah, I
Andy,
think he does from the
but,
reports.
but hypothetically, let's say Andy Dalton plays amazingly well, because it's not like he's old. He's what, 32, 33 or something like that. He's been in the league now for 10 years,
Yeah,
but
I'd say it's probably 33 to 34 ish.
yeah, but even Phillip Rivers played till he was 37 or 38. Not saying that that the Bears would potentially sign him in a long-term contract. But if they feel Justin Fields isn't ready, but Andy Dalton leads them to the playoffs, and maybe a playoff win.
Which the Bears made the playoffs last year with Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback.
Yeah,
So
I think that's a fair debate to say that Andy Dalton might be better. Is probably better than Mr. Trubisky. I think he's got a
yeah,
bad rap because he was on some bad Bengals teams that just
well,
were
but he's
poorly
not.
coached, poorly staffed, and everything.
Yeah, and he's nothing special. I mean, he's not. He's not a Tom Brady, Drew Brees. It's like, but I mean, the Ravens won the Super Bowl a few years ago with Joe Flacco at quarterback. I mean,
Yeah,
I think him and Joe Flacco are fairly comparable in terms of quarterbacking ability. While Joe
yeah.
Flacco may have a better resume, uh, yeah, I think
Well,
that's probably
and
a good comparison.
the biggest thing though, as you saw, like with if we're comparing Joe Flacco in there, is the pieces that he had around him. That was Ray Lewis's final year. They
Yeah,
still had a stud defense, and then you still had a lot of great pieces that he was able to throw to, and also they were a great running team as well. So all in all, they were just a great team. Uh,
hmm
and at minimum, if these guys can just become really good game managers that could be dual threats, like Alex Smith made a
yeah,
whole
yeah,
career out of it. People want to say Alex Smith was a bust only because Aaron Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer. It's like Alex Smith made his career being a game manager, and he had a lot of great years in Kansas City, being the facilitator, so to say, not being the playmaker, similar to now what Patrick Mahomes is for the Chiefs. So it's
yeah, yeah,
two different types of quarterbacks. It's not the sexiest type of career, but hey, man, he made a lot of money doing that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what at minimum. I think if Justin Fields can increase his accuracy, which I think he can, he
yeah,
could at minimum become that game manager type guy at minimum. Similar with Trey Lance as well.
yeah. No, definitely. And that's kind of all I have for Justin Fields. I think he's in a good situation with the Bears. I think he's on a good team with a good defense.